Good afternoon, everybody, and thank you for coming. Today marks an important day in our department's history. Station 2 and its apparatus are going to be the first to display our department's new name, the Albuquerque Fire Rescue. Here to speak today will be Mayor Tim Keller, and followed by Fire Chief Paul Dow. I would also like to recognize our IAFF Local 244 Union President, Diego Arencon, as well as our Medical Director, Dr. Drew Harrell for Albuquerque Fire Rescue. And with that, I'll give you Mayor Tim Keller.
Well, I want to thank Chief Dow and the fire department's work, especially in light of what our city went through with our last rainstorm. So I think folks all are familiar with the outstanding and heroic work that they performed. And in some ways, actually, this name change is a little bit of a reflection of that. I think when folks think of the fire department, we think about putting out fires. That's pretty straightforward, and that's what we've thought about for hundreds of years. But our department clearly steps up to do that, and has been doing that with exceeding veracity over the spring. We've had a busy department, even just on firefighting. But what this name change is about is something else. It reflects the fact that our department last year ran over 106,000 calls, and over 93,000 were medical calls. The reality in today's departments all over the country, and especially here in Albuquerque, is our fire department is doing much, much more than just fighting fires or doing emergency rescues. So our firefighters have obviously EMT and paramedic training, and it's that type of training and that type of response to a wide range of emergencies: heart attacks, lost hikers, arroyo flash floods, hazardous spills, and car wrecks. These are all things that our fire department does day in and day out. Our fire department also provides critical preventative services, and this is something that we're so happy to see was fully funded in the budget vote that happened Monday. $3.2 million for our mobile integrated healthcare and community outreach program. This is a targeted program for indigent populations that delivers effective care and specialized care in neighborhoods and in people's homes to also clear out some of the wait time for our 911 system. So the new name today reflects all of the aspects of our department and is in step with what many large city departments have done across the country. And that is, of course, renaming our department the Albuquerque Fire and Rescue Department to better reflect the work of our first responders in our community. And these are the new patches that are being rolled out. We've had minor controversy that some tattoos are going to have to be changed. So we appreciate the pride in the department, and there are lots of good folks who can help you with that kind of work. But this is actually it's a fun thing, but it's a powerful thing for our department. And so keeping resources on our streets is a priority for us, and we're going to roll out these changes steadily as we replace vehicles and old signage. So it's going to be taking place over the next few years, but it's something that reflects the modern aspect of a very, very busy fire and rescue department here in Albuquerque. So with that, I'm going to hand it over, I think, back to Chief Dow to walk us through some of those details. Thank you.
I'd like to thank Mayor and his staff and IFF Local 244 President Diego Arencon for attending. Since its inception, the Albuquerque Fire Department has a proud tradition of providing outstanding fire suppression service to the community. Several years ago, the Insurance Service Office awarded us the prestigious Class 1 rating. ISO organization independently evaluates fire protection capabilities in communities across the United States. The rating is based upon factors including firefighting response, training, and water supply. Now, out of 49,000 fire departments in this country, only a few hundred have achieved this ranking. While this is an incredible accomplishment, firefighting is not the only discipline that we excel in. We provide an all-hazards response to the city of Albuquerque that is second to none. That is why we are formally changing our name to Albuquerque Fire Rescue. The new title is more inclusive of who we are, what we do, and how we want to be perceived. Now, the term rescue encompasses a number of disciplines that our firefighters are trained in. When the public calls 911 and the emergency is not exclusively a law enforcement issue, my firefighters are the ones who respond. Whether it's a medical emergency in your home or at your place of work, a lost hiker in the foothills, a child swept down the arroyo from a flash flood, a hazardous material spill or a leak, a worker trapped in a confined space, an accident on the Big I with somebody trapped, a bosque fire threatening homes, maybe a rope rescue downtown on one of our large buildings, or a raging structure fire with people still inside, it is members of the Albuquerque Fire Rescue who respond. We are an all hazards response for this community. Saving lives and property is what we do. We never stop. For example, last week we had a large brush fire that had threatened several homes in the foothills. The Fire Station 16, that was their district. Now both Engine 16 and Rescue 16 cleared other calls and responded to that fire in the foothills. They helped to contain that fire and make sure that no homes were significantly damaged. Many people in the community think that fire suppression is the only emergencies that we respond to. However, during their assigned shift, Engine 16 and Rescue 16 also responded to 27 other emergencies. Now the calls range from a blown gas line, general sickness calls, cardiac emergencies, falls, diabetic emergencies, and a hiker injured in the foothills. They also delivered a baby in the back of Rescue 16 on the way to the hospital. This is simply a snapshot of who we are as the Albuquerque Fire Rescue and the many different types of 911 calls that our men and women respond to on a daily basis. Now, many of you recall the fast-moving thunderstorm that hit the Albuquerque area on Monday. Several people did not heed our warnings about staying out of the arroyos, and unfortunately, there was one tragedy. Thankfully, the men and women of the Albuquerque Fire Rescue were able to rescue 5 others and recover the body of the single victim. These firefighters did an outstanding job, and I'm extremely proud of them. A flood channel rescue operation on the banks of a concrete arroyo with waters moving over 35 miles per hour is a very dangerous operation. While they do have safety equipment to protect them, there is very little room for error. This is another example of the incredible work our firefighters perform every day, and we are truly an all hazards response for this community. Now, every single one of my firefighters is trained to the level of an EMT basic or a paramedic. And like the mayor said, 87% of the calls we respond to have a medical component to them. This community is very fortunate to have the EMS response that it does. All 22 fire stations within our department have advanced life support capabilities. Each of our ALS rescues is staffed with 2 paramedic firefighters. This is the highest level of pre-hospital medical care that you can get, and Albuquerque is very fortunate to have them. Each one of our firefighters is also required to receive minimum level of training in specialty rescue disciplines. However, we also have several teams that specialize in hazardous materials, heavy technical rescue, and wildland responses, and they are strategically positioned all throughout the city. Saving lives and property is what we do. We are firefighters. We never stop. Now, there is a cost to rebrand ourselves. However, this will be implemented responsibly. The entire process of replacing logos, patches, vehicle decals, and station signs, that's going to take several years. Low or no cost items such as stationery, maybe digital items, they're going to be implemented over the next few weeks. Any questions?
What is that cost number?
The cost number? Since we're phasing it in, it's real small. For example, like the patches, it's about $5 a patch. To do one of the vehicles that we have behind us, to move that to Albuquerque Fire Rescue, a couple $100. So as we purchase new apparatus, we're just going to build that into the price of the apparatus. As our members need new uniforms, we'll include those patches in the new uniform. So there's going to be a period of time where we have a mix of apparatus that say fire department and apparatus that say fire rescue. We're okay with that. We're going to do it responsibly and make sure there's not a significant impact on our budget.
How important to morale is this name change, do you think?
I think it's really important. I think it's a better reflection of who we are as a emergency service provider. So when the public sees us, a lot of times we answer questions to the public regarding why is a fire truck showing up to my house when my loved one has a heart attack? And it's taking that explanation, that time to explain to them, we're all EMTs, we have the special training to provide medical care. Hopefully this helps the public understand that we're not just fire suppression, that we do everything else. Unless it's a law enforcement exclusive issue, when you call 911, my firefighters are coming. Any other questions? Thank you all for coming. Appreciate it.